Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for watching this video. Untuk video kali ini saya akan jelaskan sedikit penjelasan tentang 7 poin yang ada pada materi masalah penelitian. So, number 1 is research problem. Menurut Kerlinger 1990, 29 anti 30 state the criteria of the problem and the statement of the problem as follow. 1. The problem must be real valid, a relationship between two or more variables. 2. The problem must be stated clearly and unambiguously in the form of question. And 3. The problem and the problem statement must be formulated in a way certain that implies the possibility of empirical testing. So, bisa kita simpulkan bahwa thus it can be stated that the problem is the gap between expectation and reality, the gap between theory with the practice that requires answer, explanation, or solving. Number 2 is background atau latar belakang penelitian. The background of the problem contains about the gap between expectations and reality, both theoretical gaps or the practical gaps underlying the problem researched. In the background, this problem is explained briefly: theory, research results, seminar conclusion, and scientific discussion or personal experiences. Observation that are closely related to the subject the problem under study. Thus, the problem chosen for research get a firmer foundation. In principle, the researchers must be able to answer the question, why was this problem chosen for research? So, to find research background, usual keyword used is why the research was conducted. There may be certain reason behind this. For example, something that is studied is not in line with people's expectation, not in harmony with idealism, not in accordance with theory, and so on. Reason that require answer, explanation, or solution. That's why can be used as an indicator that a study it is feasible or not to do. Number 3 is formulation of the problem. In a study, after determining the background problem, then proceed with completing the formulation of the problem. The formulation of the problem is an attempt to express in the terms of written question that want to find answer. Problem formulation is a complete and detailed statement regarding the scope of the problem to be investigated based on problem identification and limitation. The formulation of the problem should be arranged briefly, concisely, clearly, and put it in the form of question sentences. The formulation of the problem is both with a reveal the variables under study and the type of nature, the relationship between this variable and the research subject. Besides that, the formulation of the problem should be empirically tested in the sense allows data to be collected to answer the question research purposes. Unlike the formulation of the problems, they are commonly used sentence question and the formulation of objective usual use statement. Formulation research objective are something you want answered, explained, or solved through research. With it thus, the research objective are target to be completed through that research. Number 5. Assumption. Research assumption are basic assumptions about something, things, They are used as a basis for thinking and acting in implementing research. For example, researchers put forward the assumption that a person's attitude can be measured using an attitude scale. In this case, he does not need to prove the truth of things it assumed, but he can directly take advantage of the result of attitude measurement he gets. In research, such assumptions are necessarily formulated clearly before stepping in to collect data. Such assumptions are called basic assumptions, basic postulates, or assumptions. Researchers need to formulate basic assumptions. Number 1, so that there is a firm basis for the problem being researched. 2, emphasize the variables that are the center of attention. 3, to determine and formulate hypotheses. Number 6, hypothesis. The hypothesis is a provisional conjecture based on deductive thinking approach. Not all quantitative research requires a research hypothesis. Hypotheses are needed to direct the step research, collect data, do analysis, test requirement analysis, test hypothesis, and draw conclusion. It should be noted that not all research requires a hypothesis. Hypotheses can be divided into two types: alternative hypothesis or the research hypothesis, and the null hypothesis, zero. Hypothesis, the alternative, is the formal formulation of the researchers. Deductive analysis of the problem is studied based on theory. Sedangkan the null hypothesis was compiled for the sake of statistical testing and stayed in the sentence negative. This null hypothesis will later be tested whether in accept or reject. So the last one is scope. The scope of the study contains the concept, variables, indicator, and descriptor, if any, in detail, making it easier for researchers in conducting research. The more detailed description that is present in the scope of research, it is possible that we better facilitate researchers in completing research instruments. To facilitate the preparation of the scope of research and analysis of content in the form of concepts, variable, and indicator, and the numismatic assistance.